Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Spindle Feeds. Today's video is part 2 of the Sharp Surface Grinder Auto Lube line replacement. In case you missed the first video, we were investigating why there was no oil being pumped up to the column as no oil was visible in the sight glass. Now, we explored the back of the machine, opened the reservoir cover to find the lube lines were split and crumbling. I had some tubing on hand to replace the main pump line, but none for the feed lines. So since then, I did a little work off camera. I removed all the rotten lines, drained the old nasty oil, and cleaned the reservoir. I also ordered a roll of 4mm replacement tube, some ferrules, and a replacement pump. Now, the pump itself is still in good shape, but I just wanted to scavenge the filter since the existing filter is just totally shot. Now, against my better judgment, and as a means of having to not run a new tube up through the column to tie into the vertical lead screw, I have the bright idea of simply splicing the line above the line anchor. The old tubing doesn't seem to be quite as brittle up this high, so I'd like to give it a try. Now, a quick note about the ferrules. I am aware that brass ferrules over plastic tubing is technically a no-no. I ordered what seemed to be like the only set of plastic ferrules available on eBay, but they never arrived and the seller messaged me saying they were out of stock. So for now, I'm just going to use the brass ferrules because I really need to get this thing up and running. Alright, that seems good to go. Next, I think we'll get this column slideway lube line piped in. I have a sneaking suspicion that someone was back here fooling around before I acquired this machine. Some things just don't seem to make much sense. I mean, the brass tube on this side pump oils onto only one vertical slideway. So does that mean the other side just doesn't get any lubrication? Or did someone remove the lubrication tube on that side? When I dug into this, the line that feeds the lower lead screw and cross slides was tied into this T. Meanwhile, the middle port on the manifold was connected to nothing and the valve was closed. So I'm going to connect the previously unoccupied port of the cross slide lead screw and temporarily connect the drain line to the T. Once I'm able to order some 4mm brass tubing, I'm going to remove the drain and run a vertical slide lube line for the opposite side. Alright, so now I'm connecting the lube line to the X and Y ways and lead screws. Just a quick fit up here and now that's complete. Next I'll connect the opposite end to the lube manifold port. Okay, so now we're ready to attach the drain line. It's a pretty simple tie-in to the T that I was just talking about. This will be replaced with another brass line to lubricate the vertical slideway on the left. Everything appears to be good, so I think it's time to replace the lube oil. This is mobile vacuum line as specified for this grinder. Alright, fingers crossed, let's fire it up and check for leaks. Just what I was afraid of. It's leaking at this hose coupler. Let's see if we can tighten this up. Well, apparently it doesn't want to play nice. The original tubing just snapped again. Looks like I'm going to have to replace this entire line after all. I'll disconnect this fitting at the top of the column, attach a new end, and fish it down through the column down to the reservoir. Now I'll just need to disconnect the spliced end from the manifold and connect the new tube fitting in its place. Having to partially work inside a fresh oil bath makes this job 10 times more difficult, I tell you. Okay, so let's try this again. I'll need to squeeze back around to the front of the machine to fire it up. Well, it looks good so far, as in I'm not seeing any leaks. But these valves need to be adjusted. I'm not getting any lube to the cross slide tube. Well, that looks good. Notice the lubrication dripping down the right vertical slideway. I intend on providing the same lubrication on the opposite side. The drain seems to be providing enough oil and pressure to make that happen. Now if we come back around to the front, we now see the oil pumping up through the sight glass. So I guess we can call this one a win. I just have a few screws to install on the slide covers and we're back in business. But I'll wrap that up off camera. Alright guys, well I think that's all I have to offer for this episode. For the most part, this project is complete, minus adding one brass tube. I have to say this has been one of the most difficult videos I've ever shot. The workspace is so cramped back there, where different camera angles are merely a pipe dream. Anyway, for what it was, I hope you enjoyed this video, or at least learned something from it. I think the hard lesson I learned was to not try to cut corners. Just do it right the first time, and then if you fail, well, it wasn't from the lack of trying to do things right. Until next time, thanks for hanging out.